Welcome to the AGC podcast. If you don't know us already, the Akuta Group of Companies is a British interior design collective with a portfolio of 6 international award-winning design brands. I'm your host, Tori, and in this pod we'll be revealing exactly what it takes to build a global design collective that works in some of the world's most exclusive postcodes. You'll meet the talented individuals behind each brand, as well as the many interesting people that have joined us along the way. Stay with us to hear more about how we got here, where we are going, and how we plan on being a force for good in this world of possibilities. So we are joined today by the marvellous Rhian Barker. Rhian is probably one of the longest standing members of AGC. I think you joined in 2013.
I did. I'm very old.
Yeah, no. You're just one of the oldest in the team.
Founders. I get wheeled out every now and then. Yes, exactly.
So you have been through all sorts over the years, and you are now the group's design director. But what I want to start with is probably embarrassing you slightly and just giving you a huge round of applause for your recent accolade by being featured in Walpole's Power List 2024, which is incredible. So well done. And I think the list features individuals who are set to sort of define the design industry over the coming years. So it really is an amazing accolade to have under your belt.
Thank you.
So amazing work.
Thrilled.
Yeah.
It's a bit wild, actually, but yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Amazing. And it's nice for us as well, for you to be, for one of our members, to be on the list as well. So it's great all round.
Yeah, it's really good.
So if we start, we want to hear about your journey, basically. So how you've started, how you got into it, and how you're now where you are, which is in such an incredible place. So can you tell us a bit more about your background and how you broke into the industry?
So a very long time ago, I did an interior architecture degree at Brighton University. I rather boringly, always wanted to get involved in interior design. It was always my passion. I think it was because of changing rooms.
Oh, God, that was so good. Didn't that have a comeback recently, I think?
I actually watched it now. I think Lawrence Bowen basically sort of carved my life.
He set it for you.
Yes. And I think my room when I was really young probably has lost inches from the walls from the amount of times I painted it different colours. So I went to university, did an interior architectural part 1, and quickly realised that I was probably a bit too fluffy and fancy for architecture, and then got into interior design. In my kind of early 20s, I won an architectural scholarship. So I promptly took that cash and actually went backpacking, because that's what you do when you're in your early 20s. But ended up living over in Australia for a few years, and I worked over there as an interior designer. I worked for some artists and just did lots of interior design work. And then I sort of came back to London and really kind of been based here ever since, working in luxury interiors. So when I first moved back to London from Australia, I worked for a startup studio that was just really well connected. So we did lots of kind of really big super homes, £100 million houses, lots of NDAs, a few private sort of footballer clients and things like that. That was really exciting. And then eventually sort of found myself at AGC.
Yeah, nice. And so how has the role progressed from how you started 11 years ago? Is it 11 years ago? It's long. More than a decade. Oh my God. That was amazing. So yeah, where did you start, and how did your role progress?
So I joined the studio as its senior designer, and actually at the time there was only sort of 6 of us. There were 3 founding directors, obviously Alec and Stella, and then myself as a senior designer. We had an intern who left the company actually only a couple of years ago and became a really good friend of mine. And also we had sort of an admin HR lady who also actually only left the company a few months ago. So we were lifers basically. So we started as a team of 6. And then now I think because we've been plus 70 and now we're kind of around 55 plus, I think.
Yeah.
Like that. So that was kind of my day. So when I started, we were on Grosvenor Street in a tiny room, which I actually think was the post room of the kind of big offices that we were in. Genuinely think it was the post room, but we had the Grosvenor Street address, so we were absolutely faking it for a while. And then eventually over the years we've kind of moved around, and now here we are at Walpole Power List.
With AGC, so to be part of the positive change, I guess, in the design industry, we've signed up to United in Design. Could you tell us a little bit more about what that is and what it means for our diversity, equity and inclusion as well?
Yes, so I head up the DEI committee for the business, and that was really something that was actually brought to us by our employees probably about 3 years ago, off of the back of obviously the David Lloyd murder and Black Lives Matter. And it really kind of, I think, for the design industry, made us all have to sort of face facts that we are a very kind of cliquey industry. The majority of people kind of perhaps kind of get a foot in the door in terms of their way in. Not everybody, but you know, that's kind of certainly the perception that it has in terms of the industry. And our employees wanted to change that. They kind of came to us, and it was really sort of something that they felt very passionate about. And I actually think sort of the sort of younger generations, that is something that's instilled in them, and it's a really important kind of movement to be a part of. So we wanted to be part of that positive change. United in Design was set up at the same time by two studios, one Studio Ashby and one Dowley Design. And basically they, again, are sort of this governing body of how do we bring in sort of a more diverse and inclusive workforce within the design industry in the UK. We work with them in terms of providing mentoring schemes, apprenticeships. We've had sort of 2 apprentices that have come with us on their journey the last couple of years, which has been really exciting. And then also they provide sort of lots of support in terms of how we can be sort of more diverse and inclusive within our workforce. And I think that's something that's really important. And I think it's important for our community in our workplace, because I know that it is something that everybody does feel passionate about, but also it's important for our kind of also in our own bubbles, in our own social kind of worlds and, you know, kind of lifestyles that we have. So it is something that we are trying, it's ever evolving, and we're always trying to sort of push it forward. So this year we'll be launching kind of a new manifesto for DEI within AGC. We'll be looking at new pledges, and just trying to get sort of as many people as possible involved in it so that we can do better. Yeah,
it's nice to be part of something bigger, isn't it? Not just your company and everything internal. It's just reaching out and trying to do your bit and helping other parts of it as well.
Exactly that. And it's important. And it's important for, you know, the world that we live in as well. We want a sort of a creative pool of talent in our business. For everyone and by everyone.
And leaving a better impression of design, because I think you're right, it does have this typical, you sort of know, it's not got a great reputation in terms of, I think, recruitment side of things. So if we can change that side of things or help that side of things, then that can only be a positive change, I think.
100%.
And so you've worked on some incredible projects. So Chelsea Barracks, OO, some super prime properties in Mayfair, Surrey, all over. What would you say your personal style is? Because obviously you've had to do all these projects for work, and it probably differs to how you would have your own home.
So I'm actually doing it at my house at the moment, and I am the worst client in the world because I cannot make my mind up at all.
But when it's your own thing, it's impossible.
Not a single decision can we sort of, me and my partner actually decide on one single thing. It's awful.
But it will be the best home when you're finished with it.
Exactly.
It will be beautiful.
But I think I'm always just really responsive in terms of whatever is kind of happening around me. And I think that's kind of probably what designers do once it's been a career for kind of 20 years. So for example, in my own house at the moment, I just like clear surfaces, lots of kind of calm spaces. I love bold colours and bold ceilings and things like that, but I've got 2 children, so I think those like clear surfaces and those kind of more calming environment is really a response to my kind of everyday life at the moment. And I think when it comes to clients, what's always been really exciting for me is that I definitely will design kind of for them. So that has meant that my design kind of career has always been quite exciting, because never one project has been the same as the other. It's all kind of been based on the client and their lifestyle and their aspirations. So, I mean, for example, the last 18 months, my clients have been really varied. We did a Formula One racing car driver at Chelsea Barracks.
Amazing.
We wanted a real kind of like Minotti style apartment, lots of kind of hard lines, lots of really kind of soft tones, no fuss, just really kind of cool and minimal. And then I had a very young client who was studying fashion at St. Martin's. And so we did this kind of pop art style apartment. It had loads of really bright colours, like a bright red bookshelf that was wall to wall, floor to ceiling, in her kind of main reception room, and lots of kind of sketch restaurant styly accessorizing. We had like David Shrigley art then all over the apartment. That was really cool. And then just recently, I also finished a project for a family in Kensington that wanted that more sort of kind of classic contemporary London look that was kind of a little bit more plush. So again, and those were the 3 just within the last 18 months.
So you get to work on all sorts, basically, which is quite nice to delve into different design. And then you've got your own style as well, that you can sort of jump onto any scheme and make it work.
That's what makes it always different and always exciting for me creatively, because I never know kind of who I'm going to design for next. And the show homes as well kind of really play a part with that as well, because obviously when we're designing with developers for show homes, it's all about the demographic, it's about that end user, and sort of really kind of honing in on their aspirational lifestyle and designing with them in mind. So it's always different.
It's almost a bit more,
not boring,
not guesswork, but you don't have that end user yet, so you're just having, it's a bit more difficult to get it right and nail it on the head and make sure it's going to be what people are after.
Yeah, exactly. And I love designing homes for people. I think I'm quite nosy. I really like to get to know people, and I do enjoy that process of kind of learning how they're going to use the space and what their sort of situation is. So is it going to be their pied-à-terre? Is it going to be their family home? Is it going to be their kind of entertaining space because they're studying fashion and they want something cool to show off? Or and I learn for all of that. And so that's kind of, that always makes it exciting.
It'd be quite nice to go back sort of a year on from when you finished a project and see if it's all looking the same or whether they've completely changed the spaces or done their own put their own things in.
And that can always be really weird, because you've spent sort of, we did a project a few years ago for a family, and they lived overseas, and we had a beautiful 4-bed apartment at Ebury Square, and actually he bought it as a gift for his wife, so it was all kind of hush hush. We did it up really beautifully, and I had kind of sort of lived in that design for about 18 months, and I was kind of overseeing everything going in, and we had this like high gloss lacquer dining table for 12 people, and then as the time was kind of coming closer to them all moving over, he was sending me emails saying, you should put some extra mattresses in the bedrooms, these beautifully designed bedrooms that we've just done, because I'm bringing my grandchildren over, and it, like all of a sudden about 20 people turned up at this apartment to move in, and they were the most gorgeous family, and I just kept thinking, oh my god, what about that polished lacquer dining table that we just done for them? But that's not the point. And then the other thing was that the grandchildren were like skidding across the marble hallways like with their socks on, which I find really funny.
Making the most of the finishes. That's good.
That's not the point, is it? It's not about being a pristine design and property. It's about how they're going to use it. And this family wanted it to be exactly that, a family,
a home.
And they, they were just enjoying kind of being there. And again, I mean, it's not my table.
Exactly.
It's not my design.
How they use it is up to them.
That was really lovely. Yes.
So what have been would you say that would have been one of your favourite projects, or have you had sort of a standout projects that you've worked on?
That was definitely one of my favourite clients. So many projects. I think at AGC, we've done such lovely ones over the years, and they've always been really responsive to sort of clients' kind of requirements. I really did enjoy doing my younger client recently, the fashion student, because I could use sort of really bright tones and colours, and she wasn't going sort of a bit bold, which was really fun. Over the years, we've done some really nice IA projects, where we had one a few years ago where we worked with a developer that we've worked with for a long time, and on his first floor, kind of master suite, we did the whole floor as just the master bedroom and suite, with the dressing room, with the beautiful master bathroom, with the wonderful kind of bedroom area. And then they also had their own personal kind of courtyard as well that we did, with lots of kind of soft seating. I always thought that was really lovely. And a few years ago, I flew over to Geneva to style a £300 million house, which was probably the most amazing house I've seen. That was really
was it in the mountains or just
on the lake? Yeah,
oh,
so it
gorgeous!
Looking at the lake, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So we've just done such gorgeous ones. And then kind of pre AGC, I worked for a client where he just wanted us to do the media floor, and so it was kind of cinema room and bar and things like that, and he was and the brief was red velvet, gold, and vodka. So
vodka, how do you put that into the design?
Insane design, like it was so garish but so much fun.
Yeah.
So we had like a vodka bar that had like Lalique embellishments and an onyx and just really over the top. And in his cinema room we had red velvet seats that had gold embroidered crests, because apparently he had crests, so we had to kind of put the crest on his on the seats in the cinema. And then we did like a golded gilt crest over the theatre kind of stage, which I remember there was a lobster on there, which was really wild. So that was still one of my favorite projects, because it was so over the top.
It's just so it's exciting to be on a project like that, which is so different to the norm, isn't it? And you're not going to have those come along that often.
I remember sort of talking with the team going, can we put a gold plated WC in, and shall we like engrave the crest on top of the toilet seat? I think we should.
Anything goes.
Yes, we shall. Yes, we shall do that. Yeah. So that was just that was really fun. And then also here we've worked on some really big projects kind of outside of London. We worked in an estate a few years ago, and we did a nightclub on their estate underground, which was really cool. So you just never know kind of what you're going to get asked for when you do these projects.
Very varied, which
really
is great.
Exciting. Yeah, sure.
And so how have you seen the design industry change as well? So with obviously tech is such a big one, tech and AI at the moment.
Yeah.
But that side of things, diversity, how has it changed, and how do you think it will change?
I think that's it. I think the new kind of movements are absolutely sustainability and just being more of a force for good in your design. So clients are asking for, what is the how sustainable are these products? How ethical are these products? What kind of, how are we thinking about the local community when putting together a design? And we need to be thinking about all of that, especially when we're doing our showrooms, which I love. I think that's really important. Are we kind of upcycling? Are we recycling? Are we using antiques? And obviously we've got our kind of sustainable collection as well with our Box 9 and 7 ranges now as well. So I think
that's a big part of it.
Really exciting and really important. And it isn't really something that the design, certainly high-end interiors, has played enough of a kind of role in, really, in my career. And now it really is kind of the last 5 years, it really is trying to push forward to do better. And then as well, even with the DEI side, are we working with the local community in terms of perhaps looking for artists? Are we looking for antiques? Are we looking for sort of small pop-up businesses that we might be able to kind of give a spotlight to? And I think that's all really exciting, and it makes design more about it just being the design. And I love that, and I think our community loves that as well.
Yeah.
And then with the tech side, that's the future, whether we like it or not.
It is going that way, isn't it?
And the whole AI side, we use that actually every day without almost kind of realizing the majority of us now, whether it's sort of ChatGPT or whatever it might be. And in our studio, we're kind of looking at different AI platforms, and that we can create sort of really quick conceptual spaces, which I'm really excited about, because whether sort of, again, you like it or not, at the moment, the design studio is probably, and with any design studio, it's probably about 10-15% design, and then the rest is process, admin, procurement, manufacturing. You know, that's the project management side is the bit that takes the chunk of time. And so if you can create a world where that is the other way round, and 85% is design and 15% might be sort of admin and procurement, well, I think that's really exciting. And I actually love the thought of, imagine if we spend a lot of time as designers trying to put on paper what's in our head. And if I could find a way to put what's in my head down on paper much quicker, then I can move on to my next creative idea. And all of a sudden I could perhaps do more and be more creative. And I think I'm hoping that's the way it's going to go.
It looks that way. It's almost like you've got more freedom, because you can literally plug in the words you're thinking and describe what you're seeing, and then hope that something comes out from that program or software you're using that looks similar to what you're thinking. And that's amazing to suddenly see that within a matter of minutes, if that's how long it takes.
Rather than it taking 2 weeks and you going, actually, it's not quite
I don't like this now.
What I thought it was going to be. So I think that's I'm really kind of excited about that.
And I think it's only going to improve, isn't it? It's only going to get quicker and better and more defined. So it's only you have to get on board with it, really.
Thanks, Tag. Absolutely.
And so what advice would you give to young designers starting out, someone looking to sort of get into the industry, and how do they go about it?
Well, I think it's still not an easy industry to break into, but I think that there are, such as United in Design, there's lots of kind of new pathways into the industry now. There's a lot more sort of mentoring and apprenticeships than there ever used to be before. And these are apprenticeships that are subsidized as well. So I do feel that, again, when I sort of started in the industry, there was lots of kind of free internships where you were, and you had to sort of figure it out and kind of juggle how you were going to get your foot in the door whilst also trying to kind of have some sort of income coming in. So I think that's really exciting, and there's lots of new opportunities in terms of how to come into the industry. And other than that, I think it's really important to learn your craft. We have all of these sort of different bodies that you can kind of learn from. So we have obviously SBID and BIID, and they have great training workshops, and I think all of that stuff is really important for young designers to really immerse themselves into, and just immerse yourself into good design as well. So that doesn't have to come just from work. I think it's more than that, isn't it? It's about the exhibitions that you go to, it's about the bars that you might go to, the fab hotel that you could go and see, the bookshop that you sit in, like all of that stuff. It's, especially when you're starting off, I think it's really important to just explore and immerse yourself in that creativity as much as you can.
Jump in as much as possible.
And I think it's important to also kind of express that being an interior designer isn't just that specific role. I think, again, when you leave university and you have your first interior design job, you realise it's more than just designing, and it's more than it's just you. There's whole other departments and trades and contractors that you work with in order to deliver a project. So, you have, even in our business, we've got a procurement team, we've got project delivery team, finance, sales, our own logistics guys, our own curtain kind of manufacturers. So there's a huge opportunity within the design industry in terms of different roles that you could sort of find
to learn different into. What I like about AGC as well is the day in the life that we do for any newbies coming on, and it's just having that insight into other departments and what people do, because when you join somewhere, you might even sit next to someone, but you still don't really know what they do day to day. So it's just nice to have a little bit more insight, and I think helps you understand how the company works as well.
Exactly, the world that we live in. How we kind of pull together a project, and exactly how it isn't just sort of about one department, it is about lots of others, and also our marketing department as well, which plays a huge part of our business. So it's all kind of interlinked. And as well, in terms of just kind of immersing yourself, I do think it's important that young designers appreciate that it isn't just about sort of Instagram and Pinterest, because that is sort of the world that we can so easily live in terms of where we get our inspiration from, but how important it is to take inspiration from every day and, you know, wherever you are, and how you can really sort of purposefully take yourself out of that and go and see some beautiful things.
Yeah.
Whether it's traveling or, as I said, museums, all of that sort of thing, I think makes for a better designer.
Yeah, 100%.
Good.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Rhian. That is incredibly insightful. Amazing. It's nice to know about how you've got here and what you're up to now as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Interior Insider. Remember to subscribe to be the first to listen to our latest episodes, and be sure to comment who you'd like to hear from next. Speak soon.